Welcome to PG Tech. I am starting a new series on this channel where I do weekly builds at a specific price bracket or budget and then share it with you. And this is PC Part Picker. And every single thing that I list is something that I would purchase if I was in this price range. So don't worry about getting just crappy parts, the first things that you find on PC Part Picker. I'm actually trying to look for something that will help you out. Anyways, that gets us to our first part. This build is, as you can see, around 882, and price can be dropped a little bit if you drop the hard drive and upgrade the SSD a little in size a little bit, or you went down to a 1050 Ti, or you decided to get a non-K SKU for your CPU and a B250 motherboard SKU for your motherboard so you won't overclock. And that can drop price by about 100 to 200 bucks. But I figured if I'm doing anything, I should go slightly better just for you guys. So today we have an i5 6600K, one of the best budget gaming CPUs out there, and even basic content creation. Not the best content creation, but a decent one. And it has 4 cores and 4 threads, and it'll work with any Z270 or Z170 motherboard, and it supports overclocking, which is what the KSKU means. This you can get for around $219 or $220 because the price drop given Ryzen's release and all of Intel's drop in prices, which is pretty nice. And it's an older one, so it's slightly lower than the 60 or 7600K. The next thing that on our list would be a CPU cooler, because this does not come with a stock cooler, and if you're using a stock cooler with a KSKU, shoot yourself. That cooler would be the Hyper 212 Evo. This is a great CPU cooler on a budget, and it cools well. I have overclocked many a CPU on this, all AMD of course, because I can't afford Intel. Anyways, this is a great thermal dissipation for a low price, probably the best out there right now, and it looks sexy. If you're into larger CPU coolers, the fan is pretty ugly, but you can spend 20 bucks extra and get a slightly nicer fan that is designed for static pressure. Next on our list would be the motherboard. I chose this motherboard, the Z270A Pro, because it combines a good set of features with a decent chipset designed for overclocking. So you can handle up to 64 gigabytes of memory, and I believe it has crossfire support, no SLI, unfortunately, but SLI is kind of dead at this point. It does support RAID, but most of you people will not be doing RAID. And that's kind of all the really important stuff. Its VRMs seem to be decently cooled, and it's got a shielded or armored PCI bracket for the first PCIe slot, and that is very important because it means it gives you a stronger hold on your PCI slot. It also has an M.2 slot, so you can do an M.2 SSD down the line. And it is all neutral colors, so it's a lot easier to integrate different color schemes with this motherboard. I do not believe it has RGB though, so that's something you'll have to deal with. The next thing on our list would be the RAM, and I think one stick of 8GB LPX memory is great for gaming because you aren't doing a ton of memory intensive tasks, just running games, and there are plenty of videos out there to show that you don't use that much RAM when gaming. And you can upgrade in the future. That's why I only included one, not a 2 set of 4. Next, whoopsies. Next would be the SSD, and I think 120 gig is perfect for a boot drive. You don't need to store games. You can store some programs like Chrome or something on there, so it boots up much faster. This is a pretty decent one, and I've used it in pretty much all my builds, maybe just different size variants. But this is probably one of the best budget ones on the market given the price. Look at that, only 50 bucks. The mass storage would be a Western Digital 1 terabyte. You can easily go up to 2 terabyte for an extra 20 bucks, and I would recommend that. But if you're on a budget, go ahead for 1 terabyte, and you can always upgrade later because of the case. The graphics card, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of this build, is the MSI GTX 1060 6GB, and I chose the 6GB because it is better than a 3GB and only slightly more expensive. This GPU does not really give you a choice of color schemes, but the color scheme is facing down, so it won't be as obtrusive. When you see it on top, it'll look more like this, and from the side, it won't look like this, and you can easily custom paint that. I have a video that I will link in the corner to show you how to custom paint. Very easy. And this is 269 or around 270. You can also downgrade this to a 1050 Ti if you are on a budget, and that is just a capable card. Next would be the case. This case is the Deepcool Ducase V2, and it is definitely a budget case. It does have plenty of hard drive space to suit your desires and SSD space. It also has two 5¼ inch bays in case you still use optical discs, and it hides it behind a little door. You see here, there's a little door that pops out, and then there's two 5¼ inch bays, and then one 3½ inch bay for a card reader or a just general hard drive. And it looks pretty decent. Build quality, that is plexi, so it won't look terribly great, and it seems to have a small fan filter and tons of vibration mounting, so it'll be a lot quieter. And finally, the power supply. This is just an El Cheapo EVGA power supply. You could upgrade to a 80 plus gold, semi-modular or even fully modular from EVGA, and the certification just means the power efficiency of it. So basically what power goes in comes out instead of losing power in heat. And again, it's ketchup and mustard, so pretty hideous. But you can always spend a few bucks more to get a fully modular one. Anyways, that concludes this build of the ultimate sexy $180 or $182 i5 6600K build. I hope this helps you spark your own ideas for a build. And thank you for joining me. This is PG Tech signing out.